CFL Week 12. It's the betting blueprint here. Andrew, Terry, and Bobby with you guys to try and find some winners this week in the CFL. I'm happy, not just because I had a bounce back weekend, but because we have a Sunday night game again. And I don't know, guys, in the summer, kind of get the Sunday scaries. You got a Sunday night football game. I like that. We got that on the schedule this time around with a big game as well with Rough Riders and the Lions. But we got a handful of games to get to, including Red Blacks taking on the Alouettes, Bombers and Elks, and the Ticats taking on the Argos. And, well, it's always a good rivalry game when those teams go head-to-head. Terry, how was your Week 12, or Week 11, excuse me?
Yeah, it was a 1-2 week last week, so the two player props didn't go so well, unfortunately, but I think we were all happy with the BC Lions. Obviously, it was a consensus play, so those that were on BC, it's always nice when you're on an underdog when they win outright. And you don't have to worry about the spread. They just win outright. So that was nice.
Bobby, it's always nice when a team goes from being favored by a handful of points to then the next week catching almost a similar amount of points, +4. And as Terry said, it's usually when all guys are on the same page, it's like you kind of a little caution if it seems too easy. We catch a ticket on that one. How was your week?
It was good. It was humbling because 6-game heaters aren't good for this, right? You need to stay humble a bit, including if 4 of those 6 are huge underdogs that are cash and money line tickets. So I'm glad to get that Cody Fajardo loss on my side. Otherwise than that, it was all winners all weekend. So it has been for a couple weeks now too. So, but right before a big streak of winning, you hear these 5-1s, 6-2s. There's always a loss right before that one. So a lot of ups and downs here, but the last few weeks have been pretty great.
Great stuff. Love to hear it. For me, the only loss on the board is a play that I probably shouldn't have been involved in, and it's Ottawa first half. Didn't play the full game. Ottawa first half, kind of battled all throughout, final few minutes. That's what Ottawa does best. They end up blowing the cover. So we did lose that one. We had BC. We had the Horvath, Xander Horvath over on rushing yards. Shout out to Ben Kramer and his projections. If you guys haven't checked out his work, make sure you do so. That was probably the biggest prop play I'll have of the season so far. Ended the week with Hamilton. Hamilton as a home dog, guys. Shout out to Hamilton as a home dog. They usually do pretty well in that role. So without further ado, let's get the show going for this week. And we want to say we appreciate all the comments from you guys, all the likes, and hopefully you guys will still tune in as college football and NFL get back. And I really do think this is the time where you can make the most money in the CFL. Look, Bobby, when we see a spread like this here with this number, I mean, I keep joking around that obviously I've been the guy that's tried too many times to take the Red Blacks, and a few of us in the CFL betting community have joked around like, are they going to keep ruining our Fridays or ruining our Thursdays? You ask yourself, is this number big enough? We're seeing 12.5 spread, 62.5 as the total. Any just thoughts overall on this game?
Well, first off, you have to mention like Montreal always kills Ottawa in these matchups the last 5-6 years, ever since I can remember. They did have a close score in week 4, but again, like that game was never really in doubt. The play-by-play guys were praising Ottawa for keeping it within 2 possessions in the fourth quarter. So this is actually the only matchup in the CFL where I actually account for make an extra adjustment. You have to give the Alouettes a little more when they're playing the Red Blacks. Now this number opened at 10.5 on Sunday, and I was looking at it. Obviously nowhere you can get anything down on it, but I'm looking forward. Got another opportunity to back the best team in the league, an opportunity to fade one of the worst teams of all time, and even better, there's a chance of McLeod Bethel Thompson like making an appearance, because Dinwiddie's tried all he can. He's tried all kinds of tricks, all kinds of moves. The only thing he hasn't done yet is take out Jake Mayer. And I don't think anybody is going to say that MBT is better than Jake Mayer, but it is a possibility when you're reaching for anything. This might be the only move he has left. So I don't know if Mayer completes this whole game, especially given how big this number is. The forecast is not good for the Red Blacks. 10.5, that number's taken off the board as it should have been. Came up at 12.5 yesterday, pushing 13 right now. Right where I think it should be. So like there's nothing from me. And again, you've mentioned these books are putting up numbers on the Red Blacks trying to get anybody anybody to bite, any support whatsoever. And like, there's still nothing. This could go up to 16 and I would still like have a hard time taking that number. So like, I'm not upset about it. If you can't be against the Red Blacks, you can just be happy that you're not on them. And like, this number is huge, 12, 13. I would always say like, these are auto bets in the CFL, but not in 2026 CFL, because the Ottawa Red Blacks exist. So unfortunately, this number is right where it should be, I guess.
Yeah, like I think that's the thing is that, I mean, Bobby, you already know what's going to happen. And let's all be real together for a second. And I know you've said to me before, I tried to warn you, 3-1 weekend for myself. I'll be happy to just say, hey, look, whatever, that was the one I lost. When you look at this Ottawa team, though, I know what's going to happen. The second I stop taking them in 2 weeks' time, they're going to end up covering, you know. But to your point, we've been reminded by this from, you know, fellow CFL bettors. This team smokes the Red Blacks whenever they get the chance. And I always think of Teddy Covers from Wagertalk. He always says towards the end of a season in baseball or basketball, when a team is dead, they're dead. There's only one way he's going. He always says, if this better is playing, he's laying. And that's kind of how I feel about the Alouettes, but that's probably how I should have felt the last 4 weeks. Not that I've taken the Red Blacks that many times, but and I'm, you know, you cashed a ticket on the Bombers last week. So that's what I find is weird here. Look, Jake Mayer, Terry, for the first time, he actually took responsibility. You know, and the thing is, I've been saying it's not all him. The defense has to help out. The receivers have to make some grabs. I feel like the problem with Mayer is he does just enough to keep them liking him, but then in the big moments, he doesn't make that play. I think even though it's 62.5, I know you can be convinced into an over, Terry. Ottawa's not covering this number with an under, and I've seen nothing from their defense to give us confidence in an under. How do you feel about an over in this one and just watching a beatdown on a Thursday night?
Well, I don't know about the total just because Montreal's defense is starting to get better. It was really rough early on in the season, but it's starting to get better. And this Red Blacks offense is the worst in the CFL. The Red Blacks are the worst in like almost everything in the CFL, to be honest, but not rushing yards against. Thank God for them. Winnipeg exists, so they're not allowing the most rush yards against, but pretty much the worst in everything in all categories here. When I look at this one here, Bobby's right. The Alouettes have won 13 consecutive games between these two teams, and 3 of the last 5 they've won by 20 or more. So Montreal has been taking care of business, including the last meeting between the two teams. You know, I'm not really much of a first half guy, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Alouettes in the first half. It's -7.5, so I'd really prefer if I can get a 6.5 at some point. If I can get a 6.5 with the Alouettes in the first half, I'll probably take them here. Yeah, I agree. The Red Blacks are dead. They're just, and unfortunately, they're not. They're bad, obviously, but they're not so bad that you can auto fade them every week on the spread, because there are times where they keep games close and do cover the spread. They just don't win games. So lean with the Alouettes in the first half. But my 2 favorite plays, 2 favorite props here are both in this game. Give me Tyson Philpott over 94.5 receiving yards, and give me Tyler Snead over 84.5 receiving yards. The 2 guys lead the CFL in receiving yards by a couple hundred games over Austin Mack, and Austin Mack has played an extra game more than Snead and Philpott.
Couple hundred yards. Yeah.
So they're just way and above at the top. And the Red Blacks can try to stop one of them. The other one's going to break free. And if you try to stop both of them, then you're going to have to deal with Travis Theis on the ground. So I don't know what the Red Blacks can do here. So give me both receiving props for both the main targets for Alexander.
Well, I mean, you know, God bless the schedule makers for the CFL, because if I have this wrong, guys, they've given Ottawa Winnipeg off a bye and now Montreal off a bye. If I'm wrong on that, let me know. But I mean, it's already hard enough for them. I mean, geez, let's make it a little bit easier for these guys. And then Thursday night game, let's throw a Thursday game in for them as well. Obviously, they started the week off last week as well. Yeah, I like the over in this game, I think. Terry, I have some slight pushback. Even though I did lose the first half on the Red Blacks last week, we have seen the Red Blacks, and we look at the last time these teams met. It's almost like they show you that they have some promise, and it's like a slow bleed. That's the thing with these big spreads. Like I get it, and off the bye week, I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. But sometimes we have seen with these big numbers in the CFL where it's like it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Okay, it's looking all right, and then blowout happens, and in the fourth quarter, because I've dealt with that with some of my dogs I've taken this season, where at halftime they're down 3, and then the start of the fourth quarter they're down 13. So it could be a slow bleed there. Like maybe a live spot even on the Alouettes, but I'll go with the over here, guys, in this one. But I have not really fired yet on this game. Winnipeg and the Elks plus 5.5 here, guys, for the Bombers at Edmonton here. As Bobby touched on there, Toronto, they go in and they just struggle against Cody Fajardo. Fajardo calls his team not good, but great. They clearly feel they're contenders here. Terry, 5.5. Look, when we started this CFL season, we did a little bit of a preview, the three of us. I kind of said that this was a number I look forward to getting Winnipeg in if they end up falling like they have. Did you ever think they'd be catching 5.5 points against Edmonton this season?
No, especially because I was low on the Elks. The Elks started to play better last season. So they kind of showed flashes that they weren't the same old Elks. And, coming into this season, I had them as the same old Elks, which of course they aren't. So I was wrong there, but I admitted it. I think it was in week 3. I think it was in week 3 or week 4. I made the announcement on the show that, hey, I was wrong. Not the same old Elks. This is tough, though. I don't want to lay minus 5.5 with the Elks here in this spot, but you guys heard me last week. Didn't get any angry comments from Blue Bombers fans, but I was a little bit harsh on Winnipeg last week, calling them a bum. But hey, I do not believe in this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team. Their best days are behind them. Injury questions, Oliveira, Dembski, both have not practiced in back-to-back days. So I don't know exactly what's going on with them, but if I'm going to look at anything, I want to take Justin Rankin rush yards, but he has not been the same guy the last 6-7 weeks. He hasn't hit his rushing yards prop. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him right now, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers really struggle against the run. So keep an eye on Justin Rankin. I don't love the number overall. So passing here in this one, but I think the Elks win. I think the money line is a good parlay piece. I think they win this game. I just don't like the spread.
Yeah, look at it, give some player props maybe, and see where this number goes as well, up or down. Usually 5.5, we talked about last week. It gets moved in certain directions. Well, what was it, guys? Last week, what number did we see? 4.5, 5.5 week ended up 2.5, Bobby, with the BC Lions. Look, everybody says when you take a dog at around 3, 4, 5, even, you probably should have some, inkling that team could win the game. So I find it difficult to evaluate the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Bobby, because they just played Ottawa. And it's hard for anybody to evaluate what you saw from a team. And I saw some of your tweets. You're pretty much saying, like, congrats, you beat Ottawa and you still looked ugly. I'm paraphrasing your tweets here, but that's what I find difficult. Start of the season, I would have loved to have seen this number. If you told me week 12, you're going to get Bombers plus 5.5 at Edmonton, I would say sign me up right now. I understand this number is showing respect towards Edmonton from the odds makers. We have to acknowledge that they're giving the respect to Edmonton, but is it too much respect is the question.
Yeah. And you're not even mentioning our boy, Cody Fajardo, who apparently called the win last week over a middle of the road team in this league a statement game. That was a statement game for the Elks here. They beat an Argos team that did their best to beat themselves. Now, I was on the wrong side of that. but the Elks did deserve to win. It made it a little easier. Like Edmonton did play well, but I don't think you should be. I don't know. It's hard to be one of the founding members of the Cody Fajardo fan club and see him go out there and say like silly stuff like that. Beating the Argos is not a statement game, but then you got Winnipeg, and like I mentioned to Ian and Ben after that Bombers win over the Red Blacks, that I thought this line would be coming out around 3.5, 4, and I expected to be taking the Bombers at 6. So like I'm okay where it is right now, but any higher, I'm back on this Winnipeg train. I'm trying to stay off this Winnipeg train. This train should be taken to the Symington yard for long-term repairs because like the whole like not the entire handicap of the Riders last week was that they look good playing against the Red Blacks. Well, the Bombers look bad playing against the Red Blacks. I'm trying to not back them, but like this number, if it gets any higher, I think this is again too many points. I'm not really high on either team. Edmonton, probably a top 3 team in this league only because of injuries right now. But still, I don't think they should be laying this many points to any team other than, of course, the Red Blacks.
Well, what do you think about the premise of, people say if you're taking a team at this number, you have to think that they could win. And of course, Winnipeg, they do have the weapons defensively, offensively. They are capable as long as Zach gets the ball out on time, if he's healthy. Seeing him get hit is like seeing my grandpa fall over. I feel bad. Like you almost feel like, is that an athlete or, but like, what do you think about that? Like plus 5.5, it sticks out to me. Look, the power standing core is going to love the Elks this week, minus any number, because they don't care about spreads. They just care about who's in what standing. But do you think that if we take plus 5.5, we have to have some conviction that Blue Bombers are going to win this game?
I'm not sure you have to. I think you just need to think the number is wrong. I think regardless, you should always be putting a little bit on the money line for when these 5.5s, for when these 7.5s win outright. Like the Ticats on Saturday, but I don't necessarily think Winnipeg should be winning this game. Like I'm going to take them at this 5.5. I just think if this number's off by enough, that's what I'm going to take. I'm betting numbers, not teams, unfortunately.
Yes, what if Brady Oliveira is out and we see it move to 7.5?
I don't think Oliveira is worth 2 points. I don't think any running back is worth 2 points in the CFL. So I'm definitely taking that. And from what I've heard, like Oliveira was almost out last week. Like they were surprised that he was playing. So O'Shea has said that he's going to be there, but O'Shea says all kinds of stuff thinking he's clever. And then we see what he does on game day, and we know he's the complete opposite. So, but if this goes out, if Oliveira's ruled out, I'm definitely on the Bombers because this line, it will move 2 points, and I don't think that's deserving at all.
Dembski as well, keep an eye on as well. So
we know with these 5.5s, they don't stay. They go one way or the other. The 5.5 will move with the market. I don't know if I mentioned 59.5, of course, there with the total in that one. We'll see what happens. Blue Bombers, I feel like guys don't want to be in shootouts, but it seems like they just love throwing the deep ball. So I guess they want to be in shootout. Like, I don't know. O'Shea is just treating Zach Collaros like he's Zach Collaros of 2018. Like, I don't know. The plays seem to be the same. Seem to be the same team. But at the same time, this seems to be one of those spots where, like, if you want to talk about a statement win from Cody Fajardo, like, go out and beat this team by like 7 or 10 points. Then you can go to the media and call it a statement win. But like, even if they let's say they won by a walk-off field goal this weekend, are they going to be able to call that a statement? Like, I don't know. Like, you're supposed to be one of the best teams in the league here, guys. So we'll see. All right, guys, if you are enjoying the content, make sure you give us a follow, of course, across all networks at Wagertalk TV. But Bobby at Mr. Surrey Jack, myself at McInnis Picks, and Terry at TE Picks. We're tweeting our stuff out. We're tweeting some thoughts, hot takes, and usually players or coaches that are pissing us off will hear from us as well. Ticats and Argos, always a good one, always a good rivalry. Terry, I'll start with you with this one. I feel like this, more than the other game we just discussed, this seems to potentially be the overreaction game of the week. It's just a matter of if you want to lay points with the Argos. One team outright winners as decent-sized dogs. The other team got smoked on the road. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so I didn't mention past history in the previous game just because Winnipeg has been a completely different team in the past, and Edmonton the same thing. So I didn't really mention it there. Edmonton has won back-to-back games between the teams, though. But in this one, past history does matter. So the Ticats 6-1 in the last 7 meetings against Toronto, and they've covered this 4.5 spread in 7 meetings in a row. Now, of course, they probably had Bo Levi for most of those games. They obviously won't here in this one. We all know how I feel about Trey Ford, but hey, he helped the Ticats get the job done against Saskatchewan last week. I can't lay 4.5 with the Argos. I can't. Not against a team they've struggled against in the Ticats. But like you said, Andrew, the fact that they won last week, Toronto got smoked. Everyone's going to see the 4.5. I'm torn in this game. I'm torn at this point. I think that ultimately, I think Hamilton plus 4.5 is the way to go here. But wouldn't shock me to see Toronto have a big game, because they tend to do that from time to time. Like, they play badly and have some losses and then have a big, good game at one point. So
yeah,
I'm torn with this. If you think Chad Kelly is going to throw a lot of interceptions, you should probably look towards Hamilton. But hey, he even won that game. He threw 4 interceptions. So who knows? Who knows?
Bobby, I was talking to a few people who were saying about Trey Ford knows how to play the backup role, come into a game properly, and I kind of said, well, he knows how to keep a job properly is what he knows how to do, and keep himself around. And he comes out, throws that massive bomb down the field, and where everyone's like, whoa, is that Trey Ford, like the Canadian quarterback that did that? And they love him again. The question is can he do that again? I wouldn't be shocked to see points in this game. That's for sure. I don't really think we're going to see defense from both. Hamilton's defense has been good the last handful of weeks. On the season as a whole, let's say. How do you feel about what I opened it up with to Terry? This feels like if I love saying don't fall in love with a team from one week to the next, you cast an outright winner on Hamilton last week. How do you feel about them this week?
Yeah, I think it could be an overreaction to both teams here, just because, like I mentioned, like the Argos Elks score was not really indicative of how close the game was. It was a pretty close game until turnovers and some bozo like 3rd and 1 calls happened for the Argos there. And then you've got a Ticats team that is making a lot of people look bad. They're able to stay in games against teams that they're huge dogs against, with Harrison Frost and Trey Ford as their quarterbacks. And this 4.5, I think this is a Harrison Frost number. We don't know who's starting. But I would still need a few more points for Trey Ford if he's the starter. I do think Trey Ford is the better quarterback right now. I think you have a better chance of winning right now with Trey Ford, but you can't argue with Milanovic thinking Frost could be have a higher upside. And this situation is nothing new in Hamilton, where the starter loses his job, replacement comes in, gets injured almost immediately, and Bo Levi Mitchell, or in this case Trey Ford, gets his chance to start in the CFL again. So we'll see what Milanovic says here. But even then, I don't know if he says Frost is going in there. There's people thinking that we should go I'm not on the team. The Ticats should go back to this 2 quarterback system that has failed every opportunity. Just because Trey Ford had a good flash in the second half, coming in as a backup against a team that's not prepared to face him, doesn't mean he should be getting the reins back here. So it's all based on it all depends on Frost's injury here. If he's back, I think this number is where it is. If Ford gets named starter, I actually don't know if this line's going to go any higher, just because like I said, I think Ford is the better chance of winning right now. Again, not a starting quarterback in this league right now, but I think he is a better chance for the Ticats to win. Nothing for me right now, but if the line goes any higher and it is Trey Ford, I'm probably going to be backing him, back in the Ticats again.
Yeah, I think that one thing I was impressed with them is that they used him properly. Like you could tell on the fly, they changed their game plan the second that Ford went in. They let him be him. That's what you got to do if Ford's in the game. Like, I know Terry makes jokes about him being more of a running back, but let him do that, and then all of a sudden it opened up. He had that huge bomb down the field. I'm just probably tempted in playing the Argos in some way, shape, or form because I just love these, these string of, hey, they played well against Calgary. A lot of people liked Calgary. They go on the road. They get kind of embarrassed against Edmonton. Back at home again in a favorite role, albeit, but we'll see who's better between them and the Ticats. And I get it. If are any teams besides Montreal in the East, 4.5 points better than each other? Well, we'll see. But quarterback play, Chad Kelly, I get he throws interceptions, but Terry, he's had 4 interceptions in games. He's also thrown 300 plus yards in. Imagine if he had 1 interception in those games, he would have had over like 400 yards. So, you put Kelly up against anybody they have to offer. Like what's this number right now, guys, if Bo Levi's the quarterback? We ask ourselves that, and I feel like it makes you want to take Toronto more because this might not be enough of a drop off unless we just think the group around Hamilton is that much better despite the quarterback. Then I'm leaning Toronto. I'm leaning Toronto here, guys. And I just love when you can cash a ticket on a team and then back or fade them the next week, similar to how I faded BC, then backed them. Well, let's see if we can back Hamilton and then fade them this week. I mentioned Sunday night game. We got a Sunday night football game here. I love the Sunday games. I just think it's nice when you're kind of relaxing and the weekend's kind of winding down. You get a game to watch and take it easy. And Bobby, you have a play on this game that I saw you posted for your Twitter followers. So what do you have?
Okay, so I'm not really convinced on either team here. I'm definitely not convinced on the Riders after seeing them take more than half a game to kind of pull away from the Red Blacks. That entire game against Harrison Frost and Trey Ford, they were chasing the Ticats for most of the game. The other hand, you got the BC Lions, who people are saying are back. Everything's solved with the Lions. After what have they done? They won over a backup quarterback in Calgary. They beat the 4th string quarterback in Hamilton. They won against Drew Brown, Taylor Elgersma, and more importantly, Mike O'Shea, choosing to lose that game against them. But you've got a Riders team here that's so beat up in the secondary and so beat up in the wide receiver position as well that I don't know if they can even exploit this BC secondary, which we still haven't really figured out if it's been fixed yet. So even worse for the Riders, they're making field goals again, which means that their opponents are almost guaranteed 3 points a minute or two later. So I took BC this morning. They were slight moneyline dogs. It's moved a little bit here. I don't think there's any value at this. It's essentially a 2-point line now. But this is more of me fading Saskatchewan due to injuries and thinking like BC is back and the better team. I think both teams are a little bit overrated at this point, but BC should be laying a couple points at home here. So that's why I put out that play this morning, but all value is gone. So you gotta at least follow me and get in while you can, instead of wait for the evening when this video comes out.
Well, look, I mean, when it comes to this Rough Riders team, like you said, the field goal kicks mean points, which sounds just crazy to say for the other team. I know this might sound hard to believe for some people because the total has come down. We did see actually a 63.5 at one book at one point. This might sound crazy, guys, but I actually lean towards the under in this game. I find a lot of pick'em games, a lot of games that are against the best of the best is not where you see the shootouts. Versus other sports, you kind of see that. Like Red Blacks Alouettes, I think we're going to see a blowout for Montreal. It's just a matter of how much the Red Blacks can contribute, but I feel like that helps get the total over. But Rough Riders and Lions, I feel like it's kind of more of a methodical game, long drives, like running the ball, smart decisions, unless there's too many field goals that lead to points, as Bobby said, and that kind of screws me over taking an under. But I kind of think that we do see an under here. I think BC can be good against the run, no matter who's out there for Saskatchewan. And I think it's going to be a real tight game. So I get it. I think that BC is a team I'm bullish on right now. They're a team I want my money on moving forward. As of right now, lean towards the under. That's the only play I have for this one. Terry, what do you have for us to wrap it up?
Yeah, so obviously last week I took Tommy Stevens over 1.5 touchdowns. He didn't get any, so I would rather have him got none than one, and obviously lost by one. So at least he didn't get any. It was just a really bad game by the Rough Riders. Again, he's like minus 270 or minus 240 to get a touchdown here in this game. But I do think he bounces back here. So what I would do here is take Tommy Stevens and Xander Horvath together. Xander Horvath is minus 230. So obviously both of these quarterbacks, there's really no value separately. But if you are able to bet them together, which most books allow you to, for touchdowns at least, plus 140 I'm seeing for those two to get a touchdown. I think Xander Horvath is going to have another big game. He's been really noticeable the last few weeks for the Lions. So he's been obviously contributing to helping them win these games. So I'm looking at Horvath's rushing yards prop as well, but it's not out yet. So I don't know what the number is. So I can't say whether or not I'm going to take it at this point, but I will be looking at what number it comes out as, and that'll be something I'm looking at here in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they have him undervalued again, or maybe they'll have it overvalued, Terry, and it'll be a stay off. I'm curious to see what they end up throwing out there for him. Opened up, I think, one book 59.5. I saw some books reopen it at like 80 something. So like that's, you just don't see that anywhere else besides the CFL. So I'm curious where these numbers move this week. Got a lot of work to do before I get some plays out. Do have one play up right now at Wagertalk, but you guys can check that out. Also have a package up for CFL plus NHL. If anybody wants on board for my full NHL season, you guys can just head over and grab that package, get you the full summer of CFL season, and then right into the NHL season as well. So we'll go around the horn, Bobby, then Terry. Any closing thoughts here?
Yeah, you mentioned that Xander Horvath. I don't know if the books can figure out that number because like James Butler is just getting touches, basically like thanking him for his service in prior seasons, right? It's like the Trevor Linden treatment when he came back to the Canucks. I don't know if they could make a number high enough for Xander Horvath, given the fact, like I think he's scooped the starting role, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. I know you gave out that play. It was easy. It was an easy tail for me. I'm not a prop guy, but even I could say that was an easy bet. And in terms of, let's go back to this huge opener that I was running to, or would have ran to a book to bet at 10.5. I was looking at every bet I've made for the past 5 years. The largest I've ever made is laid like 9.5 points. And that was the BC Lions against Taylor Cornelius. So I think we can officially say that this Red Blacks team is worse than the Elks with Taylor Cornelius at this point in time, at least.
And what's crazy is that, again, like they never, like I'm talking strictly point spread wise, they're always like flirting with it and then it just goes really bad. Like it's never like starts off ugly. It's like a slow bleed is kind of what I was saying earlier to Terry, but who knows what's going to happen. Like, Terry, don't let me stop you if you like the first half there. They could just beat the brakes off them from start to finish. But Bobby, drawing back some past results for us, looking at it, and 12.5 number. And the crazy thing is this number could get bigger. So, Terry, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not a first half better. I don't really bet first halves. It was just a thought. So, and at 7.5, like I said, I don't. If I could get 6.5. There is a huge difference between 6.5 and 7.5. So at this point, it's a pass. But if I can get 6.5, I might change my mind. The only thing I have to say is go and check out the video that I did with Andrew and Carmine going over NHL Stanley Cup future bets and other. We talked about other future bets, teams that we like, teams we don't like heading into the NHL season. I know still a little month and a half to go, but you can never be ready too early. So go check that out, that video out. Hockey's almost back.
Yeah, it was good stuff. It was felt weird looking outside, and it was really, really sunny and a nice day, and we were talking hockey. But hey, season starts earlier this year, so we got to get ready for it. So thanks for watching. As always, guys, good luck in week 12, and we'll see you next week.